There we go. Perfect. All righty. Okay. So, Josue, Keslie, Fanny, Perlita, welcome. I'm sorry I was late. I was telling you that I took my daughter to English, to my school, but in presencial, in physical, and I didn't calculate the time. So, and as the owner, we have a director there, right? He a coordinator. Pero cuando llega el dueño, pues te quieren dar todos los pendientes, ¿no? Y yo digo, no, ya me voy. Pero anyways, I'm here. Perlita knows what I'm talking about. Perlita worked for us in presencial for a time, right? And so she's here. Okay, so everybody meet Perlita. She's going to be in the group. She's from Irapuato and a good friend of my family too. So welcome to the class, Perlita. Familiar faces, Isaac, Josué, Anita, Keslev. Keslev todavía está dormida, por eso no prende su cámara, ¿sabes? Entonces está sí, toda greñuda, pero bueno, también vamos a darle chance, ¿no? Keslev, turn your camera on. No, pues sí te digo. Anyways, so we're going to start again. Not again. We're going to start the course for the English teachers. We have more people coming, but I guess they're late. But Nala. So welcome to the class again, and let me open the file. Today's class is about. Let me see. Yes, okay. Okay. Can you see my screen? Not if you see it. Thank you. All right, very good. So today's class is one of the course of English teaching. Okay, it's about using communication as a tool of conversation. Of teaching. Communication has to be understood as conversation. Yes or no? Well, we're going to discuss a little bit about that later on, but this is something very essential for English teaching and for English classes. Let me explain why. Have you seen cases where está Juanito Pérez y se avienta primaria, secundaria, prepa, universidad, and he's still in basic? He never advances. This is one of the reasons. We're going to discuss why. Or many people say, you know what? I read, but I don't speak. So they become engineers and they're really good at translating, really good at understanding, reading, maybe listening, but they don't speak. This is the reason, because the English teachers that they have, they didn't focus on the communication and the conversation skills. Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of theory. Yes, for when I say the word communication, Anita, Annie, ¿es Andrea o es Ana? Remind me.
Ana.
Ana, okay, so Annie is fine. So if I say the word communication, what comes to your mind, Annie?
I don't know. I think it's the way as we express our ideas, maybe some skills. We need the skills of speaking, and I don't know why.
Okay, good. So convey or transmitting ideas. Any other definition? What about you, Josue?
Well, I just can think about having a conversation with other people. I think
Okay,
that-
conversation. All right. Anyone else? What about you, Isaac? What do you think about communication?
I think it's the most important.
Can you repeat because
Is my microphone is broke? I don't know.
oh,
I think this is the most important thing that we can learn to teach. You know,
very good.
because if you don't have good communication, they're not. They want to learn.
Very
Yes.
interesting definition. Very interesting comment. Gabi.
Thanks, teacher. For me, it's very important, the communication, because we need to know how to express what I want, what I need. A lot of things we have to express. That's why
Very
the
good.
communication and the correct communication, because a lot of people don't have correct communication. Thanks.
Very good, Gabi. Let's read some of the definitions. Communication is defined as the sum of total of information about feelings, attitudes, and wishes. So it's not just words, right? O sea, no es como que le dice que le va a su novio, ¿me quieres? Pues aquí te traigo, ¿no? That wouldn't be good communication, right? So it's about feelings, attitudes, and wishes transmitted, and check this out, directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously. So the term communication covers just about any interaction by other person or another person, sorry. It includes sharing information, ideas, and feelings between people. Do you agree with this definition, Perlita? Do you think it's a correct definition?
Yes. Communication includes sharing information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sharing information is very important. It says also that communication is a two-way process. When you communicate, you perceive the other person's response and react with your own thoughts and feelings. It's only by paying attention to the person, to the other person, and then generate another idea about what to say next. Now, let me ask you something, a tricky question, Josue. Do we need communication in the classroom?
Yeah, we need, because we have to understand what is in this case, for example, we need to understand what the teacher is telling us, but also the teacher needs to know how all the students respond to that. And well, in this case, looking at the cameras, we can see if we are understanding or not the information.
Exactly. If you see in the person, you see in the reactions, so you can see if they get the point. Same happens in the classroom, whether it's online, whether it's on a physical classroom. The teacher needs to know if the person is having or is understanding the point. He needs to, or she needs to observe and therefore start the communication process. Now, when good communication process is missing, what happens? Let's say Annie is having a bad conversation with her boyfriend. What happens? Annie?
For example, we can have some problems because the information that we are receiving is not the correct. So
Good.
that could be.
Le dices, pues es que no me entiendes. Well, actually, everybody understand words. Maybe we don't understand the attitudes or wishes. Same thing happens in the classroom. Y esto va para los que hemos dado clases. When you ask to the students, is there any question? No. Everybody understand? Yes. That's not true. That's bad communication, right? Everybody misses it, and everybody feels excited, right? So there will be feelings of angriness, irritation, and the learning process is broken. Do you agree with this? Yes, right? So therefore, it's important to communicate, bottom line. So in this course, in the TKT and the new tendency, we're going to talk about the communicative approach for the courses. And this is called the CLT, Communicative Language Teaching. Let me move this, thank you. So the communicative language teaching is an approach to the second and foreign languages. By the way, parenthesis here in pausing. In Mexico, we teach English as a second language or English as a foreign language. What do you think?
Foreign language.
Foreign language, very good. Because Mexico, the mother tongue is Spanish, right? So English is foreign. Unlike, for example, if a person goes to Canada or to United States or England, everything surrounding him is English. Well, excepto si se va a Los Ángeles, ¿no? San Diego es como ir al centro, ¿no? Pero if they go to Virginia or New York or Minnesota, I don't know, one of those places that is really, really gringo land, everything surrounding him, it's English, right? Okay. This is important to know because our students in Mexico don't get to practice English outside the classroom. I mean, you might have one or two nerds de que van a llegar a su casa speaking English y van a estar practicando inglés, but that's rare. The normal Mexican, he forgets about English. Ya terminó, ya vámonos, bye. I had one class many years ago y tenía unas chavitas que el profesor, no entendimos bien su clase. Bueno, sí la entendimos, pero nos faltó practicar. ¿Nos puede dar tarea extra? You will have very special cases like that. But normally you don't. Normally they don't do homework. Normally they don't practice English. Even though you tell them, watch movies in English, listen to music in English, they don't. So therefore, this is particular and special that you need to develop conversation activities and conversation skills in your classroom. Because what happens if a student comes to your class and doesn't practice English in your class? Will he practice English outside? No. So therefore, he won't speak English. So your commitment or your goal is that the students practice English inside your classroom. In fact, we are going to refer, let me see, we are going to refer to something called TTT, or Teachers Talking Time. You can Google it, it's actually a real thing. Teachers Talking Time. Espérate, aquí me faltó un apóstrofe. Teachers Talking Time. In other words, your TTT should be minimal. De hecho, la nueva tendencia dice, you're not a teacher, you're not a professor, ¿no? De hecho, en inglés la connotación de profesor es diferente. You're not a teacher, you're a facilitator. You're a guide. You guide them and then your students talk. So according to the gurus of teaching, in a class of 60 minutes, your TTT should be, sorry, my typos, should be of 15 to 20 minutes during the class. The rest, your students should do it. The rest 40 minutes, the students should do the talking. And this is something that you need to cultivate and practice every day in your classes because it's hard. It's not easy. It's difficult. But once you get used to it, you will see that it's better that your students do the talking. So you present grammar, you present vocabulary, wherever you do, and then you do communication activities. That's today's class. We're going to focus on those communication activities where your students will do the talking. Okay? Because we live in Mexico. If we lived in the States or in Canada, well, they get to practice a lot. In fact, teaching English is different. It's more like lecturing, and then they practice outside. Por eso cuando un paisano se vaya a New York, llega a los 3 meses así de, what's because se le llama total immersion, o inmersión total, no? Total immersion. Not in Mexico. In Mexico, everything is Spanish, so you need to have conversation strategies. Okay? So far so good? Good. All right. Let me yes. So that is okay. So this means that the ultimate goal of learning of a language, it is also referred as communicative approach or simply the communicative approach. Continue reading is Isaac.
Communicative language teaching makes use of real-life situations where communication is required. The teachers set up a situation that students are likely to encounter in real life. Unlike the traditionalist method of language teaching, which relies on repetition and drills, the communicative approach can leave students in suspense as to the outcome of a class exercise, which will vary according to their reactions and responses.
Very good. Check this out. The communicative approach or the conversation activities should be based on real life situations where communication is required. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of a traditionalist method. If you ask, hello, how are you? And the response is, Perlita?
I'm fine. Thanks, and you?
And you? No, ya, tienes que dar el tono. And you, right? So, but nobody talks like that. That's the real. So, I mean, this is a simple example, but you need to find some sort of conversation approach where it's real. And you can even set the scenario, for example, saying, okay, guys, we are in a restaurant in London and you are meeting new people. So you will say, hello, how are you? Pues no, ¿verdad? You will say, hi, my name is Josue. What's your name? And then you start the conversation. Do you see the difference? One is not real, the other one is real. Okay, so you set the situation, you set the scenario, and then you let your students do the conversation. Okay. Continue reading, Annie.
Yes. The real life simulations change from day to day. Students' motivations to learn comes from their desire to communicate in meaningful ways about meaningful topics.
Very good. Simulations changes day to day, or situations or life changes from day to day. Even from group to group, you will have that. You will have a group or a class from 8 to 9, and then you will have in the same school a different group 10 to 11, and there's different students, different interests. Yes or no? Let me put it this way, different people, different interests. Okay, so a ver, les presento a Nala. Hola Nala, dile soy la bisnieta de Chelsea, soy una amenaza, soy traviesa y muerdo todo. Bye. Okay. So, and therefore, you need to know your students' teachers. You need to know your students' interests. You need to know your students' background, etc. Okay? If you know your students, you will modify the program or adapt the program to their interests. I'll give you an example. You have a class in your local school, and the program says teach about cricket. ¿Qué es cricket, Annie?
I don't know. I don't remember what is cricket.
Es sport. Es un sport, es muy famoso obviamente en England, es English, and very famous in la India, en Europe. ¿Aquí en México alguien practica cricket? No. So if you ask a student A and a student B to talk about cricket, they will actually do it because you're the teacher, right? You're going to force them. Yo les pregunto, ¿se van a quedar con algo de la clase? No. De hecho, es como de, oh, ¿cómo era? Y al típico, ¿no? Miss, ¿cómo era? ¿Y ahora qué toca decir? Miss. So then your class will be forgotten. And therefore, they're not going to learn. So if you have cricket, go change it to soccer. Okay, guys, we are in the Clásico Chivas America. All right? Who's America? Yes, who's Chivas? Okay, now let's talk about who has the best team. And then student A, student B will feel motivated to talk. That's what it means. They will feel, they will have a desire to communicate. Ah, no, yo le voy a la América, así que yo defiendo, no, yo Chivas, yo defiendo. And then they will produce conversation. Do you see the difference? And we have many examples like this. Sports or maybe arts, no? Who likes painting a portrait? Not nadie. Who likes to play a movie? Well, maybe. No, there are many examples, but everything starts with you knowing your students. All right. So what does it mean? A summary. Number one, can you read it, Perlita?
The primary aim of foreign language learning is communication with users of the foreign language.
Very good. That is your goal, Perlita. I'll ask you, well, I have asked this in the past, and I'll ask you this, Perlita. ¿Qué es mejor, inglés británico o inglés americano?
Both are well, but for me, I like more American.
Okay, very good. You had reason at the beginning. All of English is good English. Okay, so this is the goal. As long as they communicate, you have succeeded as a teacher, right? Obviously, if you're teaching a Cambridge program, for example, well, then it's British. But still, if your students speak English, that's your goal. Okay? Yo, por ejemplo, according to Cambridge, there are 5 levels of English. Okay, the number 5 is native con doctorado. Yo tengo el número 4, que sería un extranjero con doctorado en inglés. Pero yo no tengo native. And that's because they say that my English is Mexican. Y yo le digo, pues sí. Thank you. I'm Mexican. Right? So, and I'm not interested. I'm not interested in faking my accent. Mi coordinador de Cambridge habla así como que the water, ¿sí? But he's Mexican. O sea, tiene el nopal en la cara. Yo lo veo y digo, ay, no, not for me. I'm Mexican. So anyways, your goal is that your students communicate. Simple as that. Number 2, Isaac.
Students study the foreign language as a system of communication.
A system. What comes to your mind, Annie, when I say the word system?
You need to have some different way to obtain the communication or develop that skill.
Very good. In a system, we have elements. It's a combination of elements. That's the important part. In a language, we have a system that you have grammar, vocabulary, reading, talking, blah, 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 blah. All of that is part of the communication. Unlike the traditionalist way that it says that only grammar, or only tradition, or only translation, ¿no? Ya sabes, el Kool-Aid teacher, ¿no? De walk in the classroom. A ver, niños, 10 sentences in your notebook about present simple. Don't do that. I mean, once is okay, but it's not English teaching. See, it's a system. Then you have to combine it with vocabulary, with communication, with listening, etc. Okay. Number 3, can you read this, Josué?
Students learn and practice the foreign language through communicative activities.
Very good. Give example of Margie S. Burns. Could you read?
It says an expert in the field of communicative language teaching. Language is interaction. It is interpersonal activity and has a clear relationship with society. In this light, language study has to look at the use function of language in context, both its linguistic context, what is expected before and after a given piece of function, and its social or situational context, who is speaking, what their social roles are, why they have come together to speak.
Okay, and check the date, 1984. So we're talking about 40 years of this commentary. It was when it started to change the tendency. Obviously, in Mexico, gracias a tercermundista, pues vamos atrasados. But this is the tendency, okay? It says here that it has to be real, and it has to do with interaction, interpersonal activity, and a clear relationship with society. In other words, you need to know your students' background, where do they live, who is their family, what type of family they have, etc., in order to give a function. Okay, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I worked for the government and I supervised classes in schools. Okay, that was my job for public schools. And una vez me tocó ir a Hishu. Los que viven en Guanajuato, Carlita, saben que Hishu es like olvidado del mundo. Es in the middle of nowhere. Y yo estaba así como que no voy, y después mi jefe dijo, ¿cómo que no vas? Y bueno, tuve que. Anyways, it's 5 hours driving, or maybe 6 hours driving. My teacher, or the teacher in Hishu, he knew my visit, so he prepared a very, very special class, with lots of visual aids, very nice class actually. But you know what the mistake was? The class was about a trip to Las Vegas. Guess what? The poor children in Hichu haven't visited Querétaro. Would that be a good class then? The preparation was awesome. Excellent preparation. And the students responded because, you know, they're the teacher, but they didn't care. And what happens in your brain, teachers, if you don't care about something? You remember or you forget? You forget because you don't care. So that happens to the class. It was a nice class, but I'm sure they forgot about it in a week. But if he had it, the same preparation, but with local circumstances, and I explain that because they have a lake en más arriba las montañas, como una cascada, una cosa así. What if you have done it like a trip to La Cascada? Everybody knows it, everybody likes it, they will feel motivated to do it. And that is called pragmatic. O sea, práctico is practical, something that they know, okay? All right, good. In other words, we make English a real tool to communicate, considering interaction, interpersonal activity, and a clear relationship with society. Number 2 point. Kesliev, ya te peinaste, hija. Can you read point number 2?
Yes, well, no peinada, pero the communicative approach helps to teach how to use grammar, how to use vocabulary, etc. The pragmatic of the language of the proper use of it.
Very good. Check this out. The know-how, how to use grammar, how to use vocabulary. I give an example. We have the grammar of how much, how many. You remember that topic? How much, how many, countable, not countables? Ya sabes, el Kool-Aid teacher ponía unas columnas, no. These are countables, these not countables. And how much for not countables and how many for countables? Yes or no? Okay, so it was true, but it's not real. Instead of saying, okay, guys, these are and lots of pictures of groceries. We're in the supermarket. These are the fruits. Here's the meat. here's the vegetables, here's the clothing, the beverages like milk, juice. Okay, so can you count the milk, Perla?
No, it's uncountable.
Very good. So you have the milk, so you will count how much milk. Okay, so do you count the apples? Yes, or how many apples? Blah, blah, blah. So then your class becomes real because the countable and uncountable grammar, now they can use it in the supermarket. See the difference? The how to and when to and where to use it. That's what the communication approach tells us. Number 3, Gabi.
Thanks, teacher. The communicative approach helps us to specific functions and real life situations.
Very good. Again, the real thing, the specific functions and real life situations. I give you another example. Giving and receiving personal information. My name is, hello, my name is Perla. Hello, my name is Gerson and I am an alcoholic. Ah, no, ¿verdad? Me equivoqué de grupo. Okay, so, okay, that's fine. So the verb to be, the I, you, he, she, and it, the subjects, everybody knows it, right? Okay, now, but it will be different if we set the real situation. Okay, guys, we are in an interchange program in a school in England. Everybody is famous and everybody is a celebrity. Who's your favorite celebrity, Perla?
Is Liam Hemsworth?
Ah, yo pensé que ibas a decir la Chupitos o no sé, Belinda de plano. Okay. So then Perlita is going to say, my name is, ¿cómo se llamaba?
Liam Hemsworth, el hermano de Thor, del que se...
Okay. Golosa. Okay, very good. So my name is Fulano de Tal, no sé cómo se llama, and Perlita, but see Perlita's face. She's smiling. So she is motivated. So therefore, the communication will come natural. See, very good. So keep that in mind. In the past, continue reading. Who's here? Josue.
In the past, the primary aim of language learning seemed to be the use of the grammatical system. The only practical task was translation, and that was usually translation of grade or literature rather than letters to the bank manager, for instance.
Very good. So, in the past was translation. You can see the traditionalist teacher. A ver, chavos, 10 oraciones. A ver, chavos, este párrafo, pásenlo en inglés. Forget about that. I mean, translation is okay. Copying sentences is okay, but it's not the only thing. That's the point. You need to also use the communication. Hey, today, okay. Today we see our primary aim as teaching the practical use of English of communication. Learning English as a system of communication. Read it, Gabi.
Thanks, teacher. Language contains many systems, one of which is the system of grammar. Use of grammar is still important, but only as a means to successful communication.
Very good. Again, the system Grammar is one element of the system. You have vocabulary, you have talking, you have listening, you have intonation, accents, cultural features, many elements of the system. Use them, all the elements, that's the point, okay? I'll give an example, which one is correct? How long have you been here and how long are you here for? Annie.
I read it. I read.
Yeah, which one is correct? How long are you here? How long have you been here and how long are you here for?
Both.
Okay, both are correct and both are incorrect. ¿Sí sabían eso? Both are incorrect because grammatically speaking, the rule says, hey, Chelsea, Ben, the rule says that you can't finish a sentence with a preposition. And here and for are prepositions. Pero no puedes, pero colloquially speaking is acceptable. A eso se refiere el system of communication. You can focus on something because the reality, it might be different. Okay, good. So, a summary. The communicative approach doesn't focus on sentences. The focus is not on sentences, but rather on functions. Example sentences, I am a teacher. I'm giving a lecture. We had a coffee break, etc., right? Instead, we have socializing. Instead of having copy, I am a teacher, he's a teacher, you're a teacher, let's do socializing. We are in a convention. Talk about your professions. So you're given a real life experience. Or how about getting and giving information? We're in the antro in La Condesa, in Ciudad de Mexico, lots of gringas and gringos. Give your personal information. Y así como, hola, hello, my name is Annie, here's my phone number. So they will feel motivated, right? Expressing emotions. Instead of saying, we had a coffee or we went to a cafe. Okay, Annie and Perla, you are best friends forever, BBFs. And you're going to talk about your last year experiences. Y entonces, Perlita, ya sabes, no, pues es que te acuerdas, you remember aquel guy que no, pero, y empiezan y el chisme, because now they are motivated and they will talk. I give you a tip. When students start saying, ojo, en una actividad de conversación, en la conversation activity, cuando los alumnos dicen, Miss, ¿y ahora qué digo? That doesn't work. That means that you're not having a good communication activity. ¿Y ahora qué va, teacher? ¿Qué contesto? That's bad, because they're not motivated. En cambio, Annie, Perla, they're in el chisme, y entonces Annie, Miss, ¿cómo se dice? Ah, that's okay. Because now she's trying to express their own ideas. Okay, good, etc. So what are communicative activities or conversations class activities? Gaby, number 1.
Thank you, teacher. Activities is in classroom where the purpose is to produce language previously learned.
Very good. Very important, Gaby, and everybody. Conversation activities or communicative activities are activities for practicing something that they know. This is very important. If you haven't taught something, don't expect your students to know, because they're students. They don't know. Y así de, I've seen teachers on the board. Present perfect. Guys, today is present perfect. Do you know what present perfect is? Casi lo saco a patadas. They don't know. They're students. So, don't expect that they will conduct a communicative or a conversation activity without having, vocabulary, or without having grammar, something that you have taught. Okay? And there's 6 main characteristics of a communication activity: a desire to communicate, a communicative purpose, focus on the language content or the meaning instead of language forms, variety of language used, no teacher intervention, and no control or simplification of the material. And we're going to discuss each of these six elements, but one by one. Okay. It's 11:10. It's about an hour. Do you want to take a pee break? Yes. Okay. So it's 11:10. So I'll meet you here at 11:25. All right. Cool. Thanks. Ready, guys? Okay, very good. So the first characteristic is a desire to communicate. And this one is the first one. And from my viewpoint, the most important. Can you read this, Perlita?
In a communicative activity, there must be a reason to communicate. When someone asks a question, the person must wish to get some information or some other form of.
Very good. So that, you know, that's the priority. There must be a reason to communicate. You say something and the other person should wish or will want to respond. If the other person doesn't want to respond, then the communication will be broken or will be misunderstandings, right? Continue reading, Perlita.
If the students do not want to be involved in communication, then that communication will probably not be effective.
Very good. You want to do something, you want to talk something, the students don't want to talk, then the communication will not be effective. Why would a student don't want to be involved in a communicative activity? In other words, why would a student don't want to talk in a conversation? Perlita, what do you think?
Maybe the student no is in como que no se siente confianza para hablar, porque a lo mejor
You don't feel comfortable? Doesn't feel comfortable? Yes and no, but because if a student, okay, Gabi, and then I'll explain. Gabi?
Thank you, teacher, because the student don't know how to speak it. For me, it's a reason because they don't know new vocabulary or our now we like a teacher doesn't know how to express. For me, it's an important reason, and the other important is because they don't interest in the skill.
Very good. That's the important part. Students don't want to talk because they are not interested, because they don't want to talk, because they don't desire to talk. If they desire to talk, if they want to talk, etc., they will talk even though they don't know. Miss, ¿cómo se dice? Es que yo tuve un novio que bla, 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 bla. Miss, ¿cómo digo? And they will want to talk. That's why a desire to communicate is number one characteristic. The students must want to talk. So the question is now, how can we involve our students in a communicative activity? How can we make our students interested in the conversation? Any ideas? Okay, let me put it this way. How can you make a friend interested in talking to you?
How to start a friendship. 1. Start the conversation. 2. Show interés. 3.
Wait.
Smile. 4. Share. 5. Do a small favor. And 6. Keep it going.
Okay. How you make a friend be interested in a conversation? I'll give you one reason: relevant topics. What is relevant? Something that is interesting to the students or to your friend. Y incluso hasta te dice tu amigo, pues es que eso a mí no me interesa. O eso a mí no me importa. Entonces no quiero hablar de eso. Lo mismo pasa con los alumnos. If the students don't want to be, if they don't want to talk, they don't talk. I mean, se van a forzar a hablar, pero it's nothing. Okay, so you need to have relevant, interesting topics to your students. ¿Sale? I give you my personal experience. When I start teaching in a new group, I ask to do, hay algo que se llama ice breaking activities, que son para romper el hielo, ¿no? So I do index cards, ya sea physical or online, y les pongo, write your 3 favorite celebrities, your 3 favorite sports, your 3 favorite dishes, your 3 favorite colors, and your 3 favorite sports. Ya lo platicamos y bla, bla, bla. Y yo guardo esas index cards. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué creen? ¿David?
Because they like to speak about that.
Very good. So anytime I have a conversation activity, I go through the files, I go through the index cards and the information, and I say, nobody likes about cricket, but everybody mentioned volleyball. So let's talk about volleyball. Nobody talk about los Beatles. I like los Beatles, but they don't. They like Maluma. Bueno, then, pues, let's talk about Maluma. See my point? When you do activities based on their interests, it's very good. Okay? Hold on a second. Let me answer. Sorry, it's one of my biggest clients in Guanajuato. Very good. So bottom line, students need to feel motivated teachers to talk. De nuevo, if they're not motivated, they're not going to feel good. Un momento, por favor. ¿Sí, Miss? Sorry again. Ella es la dueña de la Salle en Celaya. Es uno de mis clientes más grandes. Okay, so again, if a student doesn't want to be involved in a conversation, los vas a forzar, van a hablar, van a pasar tu materia porque tienen que pasarla. But do you think they're going to speak English? No. They will forget. So they need to, okay, once you have a motivation, we go to second characteristic, a communicative purpose. Can you read, Annie? Point number 1, excuse me.
Yes, they should be using language in some way to achieve an objective, and this objective or purpose should be the most important part of communication.
Very good. So do you need to have an objective? Why would they want to have that conversation? Number 2, continue reading. Annie, yourself?
Yes, I'm sorry. If the students don't have a purpose of this in them, their attention should be centered in the content of what is being said, not the language from is being used.
Very good. So when they speak and they are motivated and they have a purpose, the conversation comes natural. Okay. For example, continue reading, Annie.
Yes. Example, when we ask students to describe their bedroom furniture to their partners, we are creating a communicate purpose.
Okay, and I give an example. Okay, so let's talk about the Clásico Chivas América, okay? And who is the best? Not America. Who is the best Chivas? Okay, so you need to, okay, hasta ahí, they're motivated, yes or no? Okay, now, Annie, you're America, Perlita, you're Chivas. Annie convince Perla that the best team is America. Perla convince Ana that the best team is Chivas. Paréntesis, eso es el propósito. Le estás dando un propósito a la conversación. So then, in their mind, they're going to formulate the conversation so they can speak. For example, your topic is traveling. What could be a purpose? Booking, sightseeing, taking a cab, reserving a hotel. No? An objective in mind. Very good. Then focus on language content. This is also important. Can you read this, Kislev?
In real life, we don't ask about our friends, family in order to practice have-has form.
Yeah, we don't ask about something in order to practice grammar, do we? We ask because we want to know. Continue reading, Kislev.
We ask the question because we are interested in information. That is to say, we are interested in the language content and not in the language forms.
Because we are interested. Having a purpose of this activity will come naturally. Example, your grammar form a simple past. Your content is, for example, famous people in the past and history. Your grammar or your point is how many. Your language content is buying groceries at the supermarket. Or animals, if you're teaching primaria, no? Animals, pues a trip to the zoo, no? Something that is real for them. Again, a variety of language. This is very important. Continue reading. Start reading, Isaac.
We do not repeatedly use the same language forms. In fact, we usually try to avoid repetition. Example, teacher, is it correct? I'm doing great. For how are you?
Very good. So, hi, how are you? Instead of saying, fine, thank you, and you would say, I'm great. So. Same old, etc., right? You will use, in a real conversation, you will use a variety of language. Teach that. Actually, in the new books, they have that. They have a model conversation, and usually they have a box, puede decir cultural features or cultural vocabulary, something like that, and they have different responses for it. Teach that. Students need that. Students need to know the real English. Languages are different than exact sciences. Don't be a square. You understand that? Sciences, 2 + 2 = 4. That doesn't apply in English or languages. Languages are constantly evolving or degenerating, depending cómo lo vean, ¿no? But they are evolving. The new words, the new logisms, the globalization makes the languages changes. You need to change with the changes. That's why it's very, very difficult to teach engineers. Have you tried? No? Who's an engineer here? Nobody? No, okay, an engineer, like, you know, de cualquier tipo de ingeniería, no? They love mathematics. So they want to have formulas. Y ya sabes, ¿cuál es la estructura? Pues no es estructura, it's just the way it is. Right? So, but they're square. Don't be a square, teachers. Continue reading, Isaac.
In many classroom activities, we often try to create simulations in which students will repeatedly use a limited number of language partners. This is also artificial. Please don't do that.
Yeah, some schools, they give a conversation model and you have to memorize it. Don't do that. They need to know the real English, right? Because of the globalization. Very important and very difficult. Not teacher intervention. Did you read this, Gabi?
Thank teacher. When you are buying a ticket for the Lion King at the theater, your teacher is not usually beside you to help or correct your English.
Very good. You will not have the students won't have you next to you. Teacher intervention in classroom adds to the artificiality. In other words, do not interrupt a conversation. Okay? This undermines the communicative purpose of the activity. The teacher might be involved as a participant, or we'll be watching and listening, and then we'll do feedback or do the corrections or commentaries at the end. Gabi.
And the last point is what's my dad is answer. Thanks.
Okay,
Because
you were going to comment that, yes. At the end, look at the picture. This is actually a real picture. If you see students, there are, having a conversation. And who's the teacher? The one is standing, right? Obviously. Is she talking? Is she giving something? No, she's only watching and listening. What happens, let me tell you this, in real life or in your house, you're having a conversation between Isaac and his family, y de repente lo interrumpen a Isaac. ¿Qué pasa con Isaac? ¿Qué dice Isaac? ¿Qué te estaba diciendo? Same thing happens in classroom. When student A and student B are talking, y ahí va el maestro, y los interrumpe, students go blank. ¿Qué te estaba diciendo? ¿Dónde me quedé? Don't interrupt. This is the time for they to practice. So let them talk. You will watch and listen so you can give corrections or comments at the end, not during the conversation. Okay? And no control or simplification of the material. Can you read this, Annie?
Yes. In the classroom, we often use great or simplified material as prompts from communicate activities.
Very good. This will not be available in the real world. So, often students work with material which force them to use certain language. Don't do that. If you're having a conversation and you give them the conversation in writing, pues no es conversación, es nada más lectura. They need to produce their own words, their own conversation. All right? So the less controlled material, the better. I'll give you an example of that. This is a poster. If you print this or you place this, you share this on the screen, this collage, how many activities can you think of based on this collage? How many conversations based on this collage? Many, many, and many. So if you say, I give an example, okay, a student A and a student B in pairs talk about the collage. It's a story. Tell the story based on the collage. No, hombre, pues avientan unas historias que no sabes. Ah, pues es que la niña lived in the woods y luego the family went y la descubrieron and then the horse y bla, bla, bla. Ahora, misma situación, mismas instrucciones, pero imagínense que el collage tuviera palabras en cada una de las imágenes. ¿Qué pasaría? ¿Usarían su imaginación los alumnos? No, they will limit the students. So that's the point. Less control, the better. Here's the picture, use your imagination. So they will produce their own words, ideas, thoughts, and vocabulary. Okay, wait. So now, I'm going to, oh, José se fue, okay. You're going to be working in pairs and one trio. And you're going to prepare a conversation activity, give the instructions. Yo ahorita les voy a dar, excuse me, the description. Intermediate level, teenagers, practice simple past, topic, famous people in history. Okay, this is the class. Intermediate level, teenagers, practice simple past, topic, famous people in history. ¿Sí? Ya le tomé screenshot y te los mando. So, you give the class, ya la dieron, ya los chavos saben, ahora prepare a conversation based on this topic. ¿Sí está bien? Okay, let me assign, that will be Gaby and Annie, no, Torla. Then acá Annie, Isaac is left. So you have 10 minutes to prepare, okay? So join the classroom. I mean the room, please. Good.